Hey guys, how you doing? Hi everybody, and hi
Hello.
Maneesh. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a real pleasure to have
Yeah,
such an expert join us for
the
the
same here,
weekend.
right? Just
Yeah,
want
how
to
are
take
you
the
finding it through
light.
Slack? There's a lot of activity, isn't there?
Yeah, let me just quickly make sure that everyone can hear me because it looks like we have a lot of
Yes. Oh my
microphone
God. Based
issues.
on our past experiences, absolutely. Yeah, we can hear
Good.
your call. It's all good. Yes, all good. All good. Okay, so what I will do, let me introduce you properly, Maneesh. So this is Maneesh on behalf of IBM. Really a great asset to have as a keynote speaker. Very proud and very honoured that you could join us on over the weekend and take time out to help our teams and guide our teams throughout our hackathon. So Maneesh, I will hand it over to you. And if you'd like to, we do actually, just quickly, we do have people from all different time zones. So we're going to have some people sort of come in. We're also recording this as well, if that's okay with you, just so that we can put this up as well. So Maneesh, I'll hand it over. Thank you very much. And we'll ask all questions at the end, if that's okay.
Sounds great. Can someone enable my screen sharing?
Yeah, we tried to put some extra controls on this as well because we had people with their mics, so it's all sorted now. We're in a hackathon, it's a live event, we're going to have some technical issues. Thanks Maneesh, I'll speak to you in a bit.
Thank you.
Are you able to screen share, Maneesh?
Yeah, I'm making sure that it works. So
Perfect. Good stuff.
yeah, just give me a second.
Okie dokie.
Oh, it looks like I'll have to come back in if I have to share the screen. So
Okay, no problem.
let me come back in. Sorry.
That's fine. And we'll start the intro again so it looks good for the recording. That's all good. Welcome to live events. I think maybe we should start looking at the technical ones. We're going to do actually, whilst we're waiting for Maneesh to rejoin, this is a perfect example for tomorrow's presentations. We've actually got, I think it's 18 teams. So we are going to be powering through all pitches tomorrow afternoon. Everyone's going to be given a 5-minute slot. Based on that 5-minute slot, we need to make sure everyone is, they do have their screens ready, they're ready to share, because as soon as 5-minute hits, we're going on to the next team. All right, so I thought I'd just go through that with you. So, first of all, hi, welcome Maneesh. Maneesh, this is Maneesh is from IBM. We're very pleased, very honoured to have you give up your time and on a Saturday to join us. And I will hand it over to you. Well, I'm sure we'll have lots of questions to ask you at the end. Thanks, Maneesh.
Sounds good. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I'm here to talk about AIOps for IT. And before we go into AIOps, and I know many of you are already working with implementing AI into some of your solutions. So I'm hoping that you will find this solution, this particular session, somewhat useful to incorporate AI into the solutions that you're building. So before I get started here, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm working at IBM and worldwide IBM, first at IBM Canada and now at IBM US for last 20 plus years. And I manage the AIOps offerings, essentially all the monitoring, automation, and how we are applying AI to actually improve IT operations. And in the past, I haven't done that. That's not the only thing I have done for the last 20 years. So I've worked on IBM Cloud strategy and operations. I have managed different types of software offerings as well as development. And I am definitely a technologist by nature, and I like dabbing with some kind of AI and machine learning. And my other interests include economics and chess, right? Some of the areas where you can definitely think about applying AI. So it's kind of giving me a perfect combination to work with. Going to the next one. So let's before we get into what is AIOps, right, and talk about this, I think one of the core things behind AIOps is really digital transformation. And I'm pretty sure that everyone here is aware of digital transformation, which is a main driver behind modern IT operations. So when it comes to digital transformation, like there are many different definitions that you will hear about digital transformation, but I like the one that Forbes actually uses quite a bit. So, which is digital transformation is actually the manner in which enterprises or the companies are applying the digital technology, the IT technology, to their business and operational processes. Um, to actually improve the customer experience, to improve the customer interactions. And what digital transformation is actually doing is it is actually helping those IT organizations, helping those enterprises gain insights into their customer interactions and to derive some additional value from some of those data that the digital transformation is generating. It is actually digital transformation that is driving the growth in the connective devices. You see so many connected devices in at your home, at your mobile devices, and so on, including the smart cards and so forth, as well as the transactions. And when you think about what's going on in the world right now with COVID-19, the social distancing, working from home, digital transformation is playing a big role. And it is actually, all of that is actually fueling the growth behind the digital transformation. So I've shared some interesting statistics with you, and I'm pretty sure that some of these statistics are already old, considering all the stuff that is happening in 2020. But prior to COVID, it was projected that there will be about 43 billion connected devices by 2023. Right. And you can already go back to the iOS App Store or Android App Store. You can see 4.37 million apps on the iOS store and 2.9 million apps on the Android. And many of those apps, granted, many of those apps are like mainly games and so on. But there are a lot of apps that are actually enterprise driven, that are actually improving your day-to-day interaction with the enterprises that you work with. Think about your banks, think about your insurance company, like so on. So there are a lot of apps that are more driven from enterprises, because enterprises want to improve the experience for their customers. There's another interesting one, which is around by 2023, you can expect 70% of your automobiles that are going to be connected to the internet. So all of this explosive growth in applications, connected devices, connectivity, etc., is being powered by the IT, right? and when you think about it, right, you all expect that your bank application is available all the time. You don't expect it to go down, right? You want your insurance. If you have filled a claim, you want to make sure that you can actually get to your claim at any time to see the recent status. Right. So customers' expectations are also changing. These were not the same expectations when you had to go to the bank between 8 to 5 only, right? Now you have more expectations from those same enterprises. So you wonder actually how IT operations, who are actually behind behind the curtain for many of these applications, how are they trying to meet some of these customer expectations? So I know this is kind of a picture from, I couldn't find a better one than this one, but this is a picture from SpaceX Operations Center. But I can tell you, like many other operations center from IT perspective also look very similar, right? A lot of IT operators sitting around staring at their screens. So let's take a peek at what happens in the IT operations and really what happens in the operations center for your IT organization. You will actually find in real, right, IT operators glued to their seats, right, usually staring at the dashboards, looking for the metrics, looking for the logs, looking for the previous incidents, whatever it may be, trying to find those incidents, trying to find those anomalous behavior before they happen. At least they try, right? Many times they are not very successful because humans can only look at so much data, right? And of course they are also responsible for applying fixes for some of the incidents that are in progress. And when when you think about the IT operators or their managers who are on the road, what they are doing, they are acknowledging their pagers, trying to actively resolve incidents remotely, right? Most of these incidents, right, when an incident actually happens, most of these incidents actually reach what is usually called a war room, right? And IT operators will think of this as a dreaded war room because the stress levels go high and so on. Operators have to spend hours, days, nights away from their families to resolve the incidents, you know and of all the other things that they are doing, of course, there's a lot of finger pointing. Your system caused this, my system caused this, and so on and so forth, right? Like, so there's a lot of deflecting of the blame going on. And of course, some of the folks are trying to emerge as heroes, trying to solve the problem that is keeping the business down, right? And way down the list of the things that they are doing, right? They have, if they can spare the time, right? These operators try to maintain the systems and to drive additional digital transformation projects, right? It could be, somebody wants to take a picture of their check and deposit the check. That's a part of the digital transformation, right? If all the IT teams are busy doing regular operations and not able to take the new digital transformation projects, there will be not any progress when it comes to delivering better customer experience. And this is an opportunity for artificial intelligence, for machine learning to actually address those operational challenges and to actually help out the IT operators maintain the resiliency of the IT systems. So I think it's about time, right? Like, I should define what an AIOps is, right? AIOps is nothing much than what I just told you, which is it's artificial intelligence for IT operations. Some call it AIOps for IT, right? It is actually about applying the power of analytics, power of machine learning to automate and improve efficiency of IT operations. That's pretty much it, right? You pick a problem that IT operators are focused on, that they are trying to do manually, but it is something that some folks can do with machine. One of the changes is, right, like in the past, how it has been done is there are a lot of business rules that are written to trying to do an automation, right, which can only achieve so much. So machine learning has definitely opened certain new avenues for different new solutions to be implemented, right? Like, almost like you have seen the power of machine learning, right? I don't know how many of you actually watched Jeopardy, where Watson actually can, parse through some of the regular lexicon and actually answer smartly, right? So when machine learning and right now you're getting to a place where creativity is coming within the scope, which is what is needed when you're trying to solve some of those problems. So I didn't want to really go into too much of the solution, but I thought it would be a good place for us to talk about what are the AIOps, what are the opportunities for AIOps when it comes to improving IT operational efficiency. And how can it free up those IT operators to take on more of those digital transformation projects rather than spending their time staring at those screens, looking for the anomalies, looking for the incidents. So these are the 5 that I think are most relevant, right? I'm sure that others can find some more, right? So first one is really about where IT operators are spending hours, right? And sometimes days to identify and to isolate those events. And I do want to call out something here because I've been mentoring some of your projects here, and what I've seen is I don't want you to, from this particular talk, take away that this is only for IT, right? I have seen similar applications where pipeline leaks can be detected by AIOps. For example, you're seeing pressure going down. You are seeing not the same volume coming on the other side. So there are solutions that are being implemented today, which actually are leveraging AI and machine learning to actually identify the problems, either predict the incidents outside of IT as well. So the whole problem domain is very general, but I'm more specifically talking about IT here. So the first one is definitely about identifying and predicting incidents and problems, and AIOps can help in this particular case by actually looking into classifying large amounts of data, right? Structured data, unstructured data, right? Previously, most of the analysis, analytics was based on mainly structured data, right? Where you have numbers, you know what the number means. But now unstructured data is playing a big role. A simply written text, how do you figure out what the text is saying, right? A log message, right? So there is a lot of application there where the AIOps can go through structured and unstructured data for large number of operational data sources, right? And apply and evaluate it against the known problem signatures to identify those incidents and problems, right? And the second thing is, remember we talked about the war rooms. IT operators and subject matter experts spend many hours, days in war rooms. When the problem happens, it is the place where they are glued and they are trying to work towards a solution to get the website up, to get the application up, get the service up. And AIOps can help analyze large amount of data, events from multiple sources, right? It could be that your database crashed, your application crashed because of that, and there are a lot of ripple effect events. And they can actually establish the root cause, establish the blast radius when that incident happens. So, for example, one system going down can blow up the whole application and maybe across geos. Um, and then the next one is around recommending solutions. Of course, they can go AIOps and machine learning can go through different solutions that have been used in the past and can recommend. It can forecast capacity, right? Today, IT leaders spend countless hours in every budget cycle to estimate capacity, what they will need. And usually they get it wrong, right? Because nobody can predict. So with machine learning, you can build complex forecasting models, forecast like factor in seasonalities to forecast those business needs. And this is my favorite, which is the autonomous IT operations. It's kind of, at this time, people think of this as something that is not that much in the near future, but I believe it is possible, which is where there's a closed loop automated detection mitigation that machines can do on their own for most of the known things, right? They can easily replace some of those common monotonous tasks and help IT operations achieve that part of our autonomous IT. So I wanted to put this one in there because lots of you are actually using this, trying to do this, something similar for the problem domain you are working with, right? It could be incident, it could be supply chain, whatnot, right? And you can take something from here where really it is all about what is it that you're trying to do. Most of the time, all the AI problems can be, or machine learning problems can be actually classified into two categories. One is a classification problem, and one is a forecasting problem or a regression problem. But generally, it remains the same. So you identify what is your data, what is the decision you are trying to make, and in this particular case, we are trying to identify and predict problems. So we will use logs, metrics, and whatnot, prepare the data, build the model, which is where most of the work goes in, and you do the training testing, and off you go. Now, once your model is deployed, it is taking that live stream of data from your actual systems, and it's going to be generating alerts. It's as simple as that. And most of the pipelines will look something like this. There will be some variations, but most of the pipelines in the operations space will look something like this. Let's talk about if you have to use the same pipeline for recommending solutions. Easy, right? You're looking into your past incident reports here, and you know what solution was used. And if the new problem that you have detected looks similar to the previous problem, right? The AI can tell you, hey, you know what? Last time you used this solution, go for this, and that's your solution recommendation. So it's very similar. It's just the model that will change and the input that will change, but the process will look similar to this. So I just wanted to show the screen, right? I believe that this is what autonomous IT will look like. It is a war room. Usually we'll see a lot of people in there, but I believe that with proper implementation, You will not have too many folks. You will have machines basically driving most of the IT and taking care of those incidents before they happen. So with this, I'm gonna leave it and say if you have any questions and that I can help answer.
Excellent. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Like, literally, I've been glued to this, and I'm on my device at the moment, and I was like this, looking at everything that you were saying. So that's absolutely amazing. One of the things you can tell that you're excited about the autonomous IT operations as well. From your perspective, how do you see this actually developing? Because you said it's maybe not so much in the near future, but this can actually happen over time. What about your projections or forecasts, or is there anything that you think that our teams can maybe look at to maybe try and think of something outside of the box that we can maybe come out of this hackathon?
Yeah, great question. So, Sarah, I think part of the problem why autonomous IT people think that it's not achievable is the trust issue. IT, when you are talking about systems, these are the systems that have to stay up, right? And IT has done this for so many years. They don't want to give it away to the machines. They don't trust that. They will believe that they will still have to be there. So it's the hurdle is actually the trust. And I believe over time, as some of these AIOps is actually helping IT operators solve the problems, that trust will be built. And that will pave the way for them to give more responsibility to some of these algorithms and to take over.
Right. One of the and another, I've got loads of place cards. You see my desk from notes, so I'm going to probably carry on for about another 5 minutes or so. So a couple of things that I really picked up on. One, and I know we try not to go into it too much because I'm sure everyone's sort of with the COVID, etc. But you said a really key thing. COVID-19 has really, with the digital transformation space, you actually use the terminology explosive growth. So this is a time where we can really actually adapt from a crisis or from a circumstances and elevate innovation to another level. Is there anything from your network that you think's really exciting? So I'd love to hear about anything like that. Is there anything exciting that you think that we should keep an eye out on?
So good question, right? I think this whole space of AIOps is exciting, right? Like I personally only deal with AIOps for IT, but and this particular hackathon has definitely given me an opportunity to see where are other places you can actually apply. So I won't pick a play like a particular team here, but I see some of them actually already trying to do something like AIOps for one of their projects, which is where they are trying to predict, okay, you know what, when is this package going to be delivered, right? Lots of factors in play. So this whole space is exciting. You can focus on IT, but I'm telling you, right, like you will see AI and machine learning getting used to make some of those predictions going forward. Personally, my interest is in economics, and I'm trying to see if there are some other areas where it can be applied well.
Okay, I think Skankalp has a question. I'll probably come back with some more because I've got lots of place cards, but to stop people just hearing my voice all of the time. Skankalp, would you like to join us and ask a question?
Yeah. So you all can hear me, right? Maneesh,
yes.
You can...
Yep.
Yeah. So Maneesh, thank you for giving this valuable presentation. Actually, I was having one, point for AI. Actually, I'm not sure related to ops, but for for tapping on some children's right talent, based on using bioinformatics and computational biology and AI. I was thinking one field can we revolutionize using with AI with bioinformatics. I can just give you one scenario. I wanted to know your insight on that. Okay.
Sure.
So for example, I just give you one example. After secondary examination, I had a huge interest in biology also, apart from math. But my father was a mathematics lecturer. He forced me to take maths, that you become engineer. Okay. But later I realized that I really could do far better in biology, medical sector. But
Yeah.
but they say medical is risky field, and also I opted for maths and I became engineer. But I think I still feel my true sense goes for biological stuff and all. Okay. So what I was thinking, if we can make any app using artificial intelligence and bioinformatics, which can judge a child's complete brain functioning, brain signals, and his gene, patterns, and recognize, can give us a report. Yes, this guy has a right talent for fashion or biology or for mathematics, and you ask him to do that stuff more. Because recently this year's Nobel Biological Prize has gone to Jennifer Dodua. Have you heard
Hmm.
the name? She has worked on the genome editing technology, CRISIL. Now,
Yeah.
she's saying that in the future, baldness will go. They will have solution for baldness also. Nobody will be bald. Even you can select the colors of eyes of your baby. That technology is so powerful.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying,
So
with this technology and AI, I mean, suppose in class 10th, I have an app. It will scan me. It will scan me. Say, boss, this kid can be a very good economist. So
That's a really good question. Okay.
this we can tap on. Yeah. So that was my one field I think it can work actually, but
yeah, so Sankalp, I think really, really good summary of what AI can do. I definitely think that possibilities are endless, right?
Yeah.
But I also think, and that there is a lot of ethical issues that we need to think about when you are
Absolutely.
actually when you're trying to look into some of those areas, right?
Yeah.
Um, I I will be very interested in seeing how ethics actually people can control the ethical aspects of these application of AI into some of these problem domains, because I still think that if we build some things like that, I'm not trying to discourage you, but like if we build something like this, there is a possibility that we are prejudging people, right,
Yeah.
based on certain limitation that we have seen in the past. But we are not leaving the domain open in terms of, who knows, something new will come out of that child, right? So
Mhm.
I think that's something for all of us to think about when we think about AI and machine learning.
Yeah,
uh,
perfect. What
okay.
and this actually came up that just came up on the chat as well about the ethics of AI and machine learning. And I think that's just a topic in itself, isn't it? It's just a minefield.
Absolutely.
Out of interest, how many board meetings have you attended about the ethics of machine learning and AI? I bet it's
But it's a growing field, right? Like people are still learning, people are still experimenting. Again, one of the big ethical problems is, right, when we are dealing with labeled data,
yes.
it's a big issue. Who has labeled the data, right?
Of
What were
course,
the
it's been written
biases
by
that
somebody, right?
exactly, right? So it's a big topic, and I'm sure that we will all sort it out together as we are going forward, but
We would hope
definitely to
so.
keep an eye on.
Yeah, perfect. Another thing from my perspective as well, because you brought this up, anybody who's worked for any large organizations or even have their own startup or are thinking about having a startup, you mentioned war rooms plenty of times. And this is my background's from digital forensics and cybersecurity. And
Hmm.
one of the things that you mentioned is about that, people glued to their screens more often than not combating occurrences that have already happened. And in the
Yeah.
ideal world, yes, of course, we would love it to be where we can predict it, and we can't. And more often than not, organizations are reactive rather than proactive with solutions. So from your perspective and based on some of the challenges that we have, is there a particular area that you think would be exciting to maybe explore or just to delve a little bit deeper in? So we're looking at the education side, the e-commerce side, small business, etc. Is there a particular field that you think if we could find a solution for this area in advance, it could literally transform that whole industry sector?
Well, and I think you already touched on that, right? Like the
Yeah.
cybersecurity and the cybersecurity.
Oh, sorry,
Um,
Maneesh.
no worries. So cybersecurity and operations is a big thing in terms of where AI can apply, right? Like
Yes.
many operational challenges originate from the security issues, from the vulnerability, from the threats that are coming in. And I already see a lot of applications where machine learning algorithms are trying to very quickly identify that there is a threat going on.
Yeah,
But it's kind of unfortunate that machine learning is also getting used on the other end as well,
of
right?
course it
Now,
is.
right? So
Yeah,
both the attackers and the defenders are actually trying to use.
yeah,
So it's a really good topic and a really good place for AI and machine learning to make fast decisions. I really think that when we think about machine learning, right, we need to think about any problem where manual labor is needed and they have to spend a lot of time doing something, but you don't have time to take those actions, which
yeah.
means, right, it's a best place to apply machine learning, right? Like it's
Perfect.
essentially, you will increase the efficiency, machines can do faster, you can focus on something else.
Yeah, amazing. I was literally just about to ask you any advice that you could give to the participants or the teams, but I think you've just nailed it. It's about that efficiency aspect. And if it's manual, we can automate it. If we can automate it,
Yeah.
how can we do that better? And one of the things for our teams as well to consider is what's going to make your solution different. This is a explosive growth industry, if I take Maneesh's words, explosive growth. And so we need to make sure, as I said, from something like the hackathon, we're looking at innovation, we're looking at ideas that aren't out there on the market at the moment. So really kind of keep that in mind. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody else have any questions? Yes, go.
Thank you, Sarah. I just have one question, because now seeing the challenges, and I mean, it's nice as a team, so we have these ambitions to end up the challenge with something that it's really developed, And when we speak about machine learning algorithms, I really cannot see to build it in less than 24 hours.
Oh my God.
So I wanted to know some tips about this, because we have this discussion in the team how much we can use commercial software about this challenge correctly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how much we can, however the challenge is about this type of the software, I don't know if we can make around develop the other piece and say the next week we'll finish the machine learning, Because to me about the models, it's very important the data logic, the data model. So I cannot see it, how to say.
I think if you could. I said, I think if you could do that within 24 hours, you'd be more of a machine than the actual person doing the machine, like entering the machine and the code into it. So we're not expecting that at all. We're really not. It would be literally, I think every organization and every government would be trying to snap you up if you could do that within 24 hours. So what we are looking at,
because we spend the morning deciding over the logic, and the data model.
Absolutely.
And it's happened that we read again and again, and it's all written in the outline that should be this piece of the algorithm, and we tried to convince us that
don't
we
get
can
stressed.
make around,
I can see you doing this and everything. Don't get stressed. It's all cool.
And my second question to Maneesh is, because there is, and to me this is a real conversation in the artificial intelligence field, how much of the software can be announced as a simple logic. To me, maybe it's not really the model that is training itself, maybe it's the logic itself that each run is making it better. So how much for you can recognize a script as a machine learning that is this learning by itself with this very complex stack of software, from a simple 3 lines of mathematics behind that, just its clever way to treat the data set, So how much we can use a simple code to be also treated as a machine learning? Because the other one, it's very hard to build it for overnight.
I think so. That's a great question. But first of all, let me just acknowledge the fact that I don't think we should be expecting that 24 hours is you're gonna build an amazing model. From what I have seen, is like, it can take up to 6 to 9 months to actually take a real problem and build a machine learning model, and you will see that the statistics are really staggering. Less than 5% of the models get deployed into production, right?
Wow.
For machine learning. So you can imagine how the failure rate on some of these machine learning models as well. So definitely a real problem that you're talking about. So that's good. I also, so to come back to your question, I think personally, my thinking is, from what I've seen, is you don't need to start by building a brand new algorithm, right? There are a lot of libraries out there that you can actually use, the pre-built algorithms, right? Before you start going into developing a new custom algorithm, try out the new existing ones, right? There's a lot of research that has happened. And then you can think, yes, these are the drawbacks of using some of those, so that from that learning, you can actually build a better algorithm. And you're right? Like building from the scratch, ground up some of those algorithms is really daunting. And I don't think you should be going there.
Maneesh, is there any way you can point us in the right direction? So I think one or two other teams have asked for this. The libraries that you've mentioned, is there a sort of a go-to guide that you can maybe sort of send us some links through that you know of?
Well, so yeah, I personally, again, everybody has to have their own comfort level. There are way too many, right? Like I use TensorFlow and Keras kind of framework and model.
Yeah.
But like I'm telling you, right, whatever you're comfortable with, right? Like you can start with that, do some experiment. Again, it's not a 24-hour project to build a machine learning model. I personally, my recommendation is the kind of pipeline I showed you. If you can visualize that pipeline as to how that will be, right?
Yeah.
That's perfect, right? You can say, okay, we have not built the model, but with this pipeline, we believe that the model can be implemented.
Okay. Yeah. And about my second question about the simplicity of the code, I just want to give you this example that we discussed this morning. We are working this challenge about the e-commerce, and the recommendation you have a lot of false data there. I mean, the false liking, it's really a problem in the industry,
Yeah.
And we just end up with a logic that can clean the database by itself. I mean, just crossing the data against interests and actions, it can make automatically that the database is cleaning itself. Can we define it as some way of level of intelligence in this sense, that you don't need the people to go through a database and clean it, because this automatically it's classifying, it's confirmed by itself by a logic,
So you're touching all the right places, right? Like, so remember the step 2 in the pipeline I showed was prepare data, right? A significant portion of the time is spent on that step. There's no machine learning there, right? Prepare data. But like, let me talk a little bit about the example that you took, which is, lots of likes, right? Fake comments, so on and so forth, right? How do you detect that? So I think for you to find out the likes, you may have to look at the bigger problem set, right? Mm-hmm. Look at the individual, how many the areas they are reporting. Maybe that will give you an indication. But I think the other way to look into it is, and people don't really pay attention to the likes, they actually read the comments, right? And you're starting to see fake comments there, right? Like, and machine learning can do that. Machine learning can actually help you.
We have a logic that can, self-clean the database. And our idea was to put this short logic inside of the script that it's the recollection of the data, the scraping. But I have discussion with the team and I couldn't convince them that this is intelligence. So I wanted to confirm here that also this can be seen as intelligence,
Going through the comments to figure out it's fake is intelligent. There are APIs that you will see in the market today that can read a text and say whether the person is sad or happy. for that matter, right? So it's very similar, right? It's not any different than that.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you very much.
I love the thumbs up. Loving the thumbs up. But I think, yeah, Maneesh, if we could, if it's possible, so I did like your flow with the 5 points as well, and you've just mentioned that about the visualization of these. It'd be great if we could share that. So as I'm going back through the teams on the one-to-one, we can kind of refer back to that. Make sure that they're on track. Make sure that they stay focused. I'd really like to thank you. If anybody has got any questions before we kind of crack on for the rest of the afternoon and evening and morning in some places? Anybody else got any questions? Are we all good? Amazing, I think. Yes. So Maneesh, thank you very much. And I know that you've been really active online as an excellent mentor with us, and we're looking forward to you judging tomorrow as well. So any questions, anybody needs anything, by all means, message us on Slack, go through it. Good luck this evening, good luck this afternoon. But before everybody goes, can everyone please, as you know the drill by now, can you please turn your cameras on, unmute your mic, and can we give Maneesh a round of applause?
Thank you.
Yay! Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maneesh, again for your valuable time and the knowledge.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, really, really good. Thank you very much.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Thanks, Maneesh.